recorded live from the secret underground lair of Crimson Cowl Comics and Collectibles. This is the Crimson Cowl Comic Club Podcast.
The following issues may contain spoilers. If there's any cuisine missing from our table, it doesn't exist. I'm Anthony.
I'm Kirby.
I'm Katie.
And I'm Jim.
Welcome to issue number 322 of the Crimson Cowl Comic Club Podcast. Every time we record, we talk about comic books. On this week's show, we've got three different segments. The first one being the club discussion. That's where we're going to talk about the one-shot of Dr. Doom and Raccoon. And then issue number 4 of Minor Arcana as we continue through that first arc. And then in the weekly reviews, that's where we go back and forth and talk about the books that we've been reading. Whether they're new, whether they're old, we're going to talk about them there. Then we have our news segment, which we're going to go through all of the catalogs for the March previews for May 2025 and beyond. So that is going to be the setup for the show. Let's jump right into the club discussion. All right, here is Dr. Doom and Rocket Raccoon, number 1. J. Michael Straczynski brings his incredible character work to beloved Marvel characters great and small in a series of exciting one-shots. First up is Dr. Doom and Rocket, drawn by the inimitable Will Robson. Inimitable, I think is what I meant to say. I've never seen that word before. Dr. Doom does, maybe it's a Latvian word. Dr. Doom does that one thing he never wants to do, ask for a favor. What awaits Rocket in Latveria? Mischief, miscommunication, and an emotional journey across space and time in the mighty Marvel way. As mentioned, this comic is done by J. Michael Straczynski, Will Robson, Andrew Dalhouse, and VC's Corey Petit. So that is going to be the setup for this. This is the first of a series of one-shots. I believe we're only covering this one. I saw the ad for the other ones that I don't think any of us mentioned them. But this was the unique pairing of Dr. Doom and Rocket Raccoon. Didn't really think that these two characters would share a book to each other. And that was an interesting little editor's note that they had a little body swap back in the Guardians of the Galaxy in 2020. I don't remember if I was still on that run or not, so I didn't have time to look it up. But yeah, I thought it was at least a cool concept to put these two guys together. The cover's not so misleading because we do get a little banquet meal tease. But yeah, so this is a one-shot, just kind of pairing up these characters that normally you wouldn't really see paired up. And what we're going to do in this review is just kind of talk about likes and dislikes and thoughts and everything like that. And yeah, since it's a one-shot, all I can really set up is that that Rocket Raccoon is invited to Latveria to Doom Castle to sit down for a very special favor that Victor Von Doom has for him. Kirby, do you want to kick us off on your thoughts for this issue?
First off, did they show the other ones? The other books?
At the end, you get a little ad for Captain America and Volstagg, Nick Fury and Fin Fang Foom, and Hulk.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I did see Nick Fury and Fin Fang Foom.
I think in the previews, they didn't stand out to me that it was like, it didn't feel like this, because, I mean, I was interested in this one, so I didn't really think about the other ones, but...
Right. All right, that makes more sense. Yeah, I was just waiting for other ones to pop up, but I think I was mentally thinking they would have to be teamed up with Dr. Doom in each one or something.
Yeah.
I don't know. But yeah, I did enjoy the story. It wasn't as thrilling as I expected. I expected a little more Rocket Raccoon banter throughout this, especially when he's dealing with Doom, possibly trying to steal a few of his pieces of equipment, things like that. You just didn't get that style Rocket Raccoon on here. And I kind of feel, I don't know this artist personally for anything else, but I just felt Rocket had that cartoony look to him, whereas you had a decent Doom, but the Rocket character kept changing its looks around, and I just felt kind of looked like a stuffed animal at times.
Mm-hmm.
But But yeah, I like the way they played this out. I'm not a time travel person myself, but I like what they did going back to where they did and meeting this entity and kind of finding something pre-Big Bang ish in here. But yeah, there was a lot of nice artwork throughout. I like the little full pagers that they had with all the different characters, laying out, giving you a history of Doctor Doom's childhood and stuff. But yeah, I'm glad I picked it up.
Cool, cool. Katie, your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I really enjoyed this book. I thought it was great value for the money. I mostly just picked it up because those are two ridiculous characters to throw together. I loved the color work on this book. I thought it's a really good looking story. What else? I felt for me that Rocket had the right balance of being serious and snarky. This was a great issue actually showing off how smart Rocket is, which I think sometimes gets lost in Rocket's always got a zingy one-liner, which isn't bad. I like that too, but I thought this was a great balance showing two very smart characters actually being able to keep up with each other. Um, I I really liked some of the themes in this book. The idea of did Doctor Doom create the entire Marvel universe by doing this? Did it all line up so that he could do it? Or did he simply create his own version of the universe? And I thought it was interesting when they were talking to that kind of stone clay looking entity who they're literally teaching him words and concepts, and then all of a sudden he's like spitting out this universal wisdom. That was cool. Um, what else? So yeah, I kind of liked it because I've also always wondered like what came before the Big Bang. Like, was it nothing? Did something start it? Did we come from another universe? I don't know. I do not have the credentials to make any kind of verdict on that, but I have always thought that there was more to the story, and it was interesting to see the Marvel characters explore this as well. And they are going back to basically a point where time doesn't exist. I really liked this issue. Was so pleasantly surprised by it. I went ahead and picked up the Captain America V Volstagg, and this was really fun. I haven't read a J. Michael Straczynski comic in a while, and I was impressed. I really liked the use of prose throughout the whole book. It had elements that felt very poetic, but I enjoyed it. Well worth the money, and was pretty fun. Check it out.
I want to jump in on one thing you mentioned, kind of wondering, what had come before the Big Bang. And if I go
Mhm.
back on that, thinking about it, I think it was that TV show Mom with Allison Janney and
Oh, sure.
Harris. That was before the Big Bang Theory. I think that one, I forget what the order was. Maybe that one was first or last. But
Yep.
anyway,
No, you're right. Yep. And then after the Big Bang on TBS reruns, we got Conan. So the order is Mom, Big Bang Theory, Conan. And now we know.
good, good. Jim, thoughts?
I thought it was young Sheldon, but
That's
Oh,
true.
that's a great punch up. Good.
um, I thought it was kind of cool to see Rocket. I never really thought of him. I mean, I never thought he was a stupid person, but never thought of him as being one of the smartest creatures in the universe that Doom had to come and get him. But it was an interesting way to see him. I knew he was like a quite techie kind of guy, but it was good to see him that way. And yeah, the snarky talk. Although he did have enough respect to shut up when he needed to. That was fun to see. I thought going back in time before the Big Bang and before entropy started, so entropy -1 or whatever, was an interesting concept. I was a little, put off by the fact that when they get there and they find out that everything was set in motion because it needed to be set in motion for Doom to figure it out, kind of thing. I was like, oh, that's really unusual. It's like, is he the only one that could have gone back and figured it out? Or if somebody else had figured out to go back, would it have been based on their life and their questions, Is that why it happened? It's just because he got there, it's based on him. But anybody else who got there would have also had the same result. I'm wondering about that. So
Hmm.
we'll have to send
Oh
somebody else
my.
back.
That brings up a really great point. Is are they implying that Doctor Doom is God of this universe? Is that entity God? That's pretty wild. That's a really great point.
So
Oh, wow.
I'll chime in with the fact that in the Secret Wars, the 2016-ish version, not the 80s version of the series, um, God Doom was the character. Like basically the
Oh,
entire Marvel universe and this whole world and Battle World and all this stuff was re-envisioned where God was Doctor Doom, and
oh, wow.
so, but that's all, just plays in with all the timey-wimey, the other world, multiverse, blah, blah, blah. But,
Hmm.
there's a reason why Doctor Doom has at least this comic here with Rocket. I thought it was going to go to the same way as Kirby mentioned too, where it was going to be Doctor Doom and somebody in each different issue. But
Hmm.
with the Doctor Doom entering the MCU, and we know there is a Secret Wars movie that's happening, that they start filming those in this year and next year. So I wouldn't be surprised if there is a lot of that God Doom talk being thrown, kind of being peppered into the current stories again, just to kind
Mm.
of tee people up for what we may see in those new MCU movies. So
That's a really cool connection. Thank you.
And even if someone else did go, I mean, Rocket was with Doom, and it didn't reflect on Rocket at all. I mean, I know he's
Hmm.
just a rabbit, but still,
yeah, that was a nice little shout out there, just with
Yeah.
getting the information from Thor right down to calling him a rabbit. Yeah,
It did.
I like this one decent enough. I always trip over a lot of the dialogue when it just gets into like there's so much
Hmm.
stuff that it felt like there's a lot of repetitiveness when it comes to just explaining all connecting all the dots and all that stuff, and that's just for my brain to try to keep up with what they're talking about. But the banter and stuff back and forth keeps me in it, and um, I'll definitely say this: it's not what I expected it to be. I don't know what I expected it to be, but because the synopsis I think only mentions about there being a favor. Um, but yeah, so I never would have guessed like, oh yeah, they're gonna go back before the Big Bang. So at least for a surprise element, it was a pretty fun surprise for the one shot. So
I did want to just give a shout out. This was my favorite
Yeah.
picture
Oh,
because
that looks
it's two
awesome.
separate splash pages, but yet the fire from the Fantastic Four battle kind of flows nice and perfectly with the fireplace. So it looks like a two-page
Hmm.
splash page, but it's not. And then the question I have, are they really eating real food? Or is this
Mm.
food just always sitting on the table? Because they always have the same spread each time they sit down. So
well, those Doom bots, they're just trained to pump out those same meals time and time again. Maybe there's something in Latveria that Doctor Doom figured out with their food preservatives and stuff like that. So um,
It's magic.
I did like
Mm.
that dinner scene that you showed too, because doesn't reveal too much, but in my brand new comic, Rice Christopher, the Pineapple Holiday Special,
Oh.
I drew this quite a while ago
Oh.
before I read this, and I drew a dinner scene that had a bunch of word balloons back and forth because I've definitely seen that, and it's a good way to get a lot of dialogue without drawing 6 to 9 panels in there. So
Excellent.
I specifically drew that because I like when they do those kind of scenes. So that was kind of cool that it popped up in a book that came out after the fact. So, any other closing thoughts on this at all?
I like how they gave Rocket a booster high chair made out of ancient volumes of knowledge and wisdom. So poignant for Rocket.
Nice and cushy because they were moldy.
yep.
Yeah.
So yeah, and there's a very good chance that we'll see these characters again, but on the big screen in the MCU. Because if they don't take an opportunity to have Rocket Raccoon and Doctor Doom talk, what was the point, right? But yeah. So yeah, we'll see. But yeah, that'll do it for this one shot. And if you are a fan of this writer, J. Michael Straczynski, very popular writer, very skilled writer, and I think he's doing all of the writing, if I'm not mistaken, on all these. I don't know if the artist is on the same one, but as we mentioned, Captain American Volstagg, which apparently is out. That one came out in February. Nick Fury and Fang Foom, which is scheduled for March if it's not out already, and then coming up in May, Hulk and Doctor Strange. So. Oh, and they even have a further checklist beyond the photos. Ghost Rider versus Galactus. So I guess I'll be getting that one. And then Spider-Man versus the Marvel Universe. Whoa. That's one giant character, the entire Marvel Universe. All right, so that will do it for that one shot. We are going to take a trip back into Jeff Lemire land with Minor Arcana with issue number 4. In a desperate bid to free herself of this new curse, Teresa finds herself thrown into the unseen world once again. Delving deeper into the mysterious realm, Teresa uncovers secrets that will prove vital to her understanding of this power, but also finds herself stalked by a dark figure. And it's interesting to note, dark figure is capitalized, capital D, capital F. Don't know if that means anything. By a dark figure whose presence grows increasingly sinister. This is done by Jeff Lemire and Steve Wands. So yeah, the story of Teresa who came back to her hometown, looking after her mother who's battling some health issues, finding a lot of from her past, running into past classmates, past lovers. Her mom has this um, tarot reading, business and everything, and then there's we've gotten some ideas, or not some background on a relationship with Teresa and her grandpa, and yeah, so that's just kind of a quick overview on what we're kind of dealing with these characters, and then Teresa going through and seeing this dark figure, which we do get a little glimpse of, at least on this main cover. And yeah, so this is issue number 4. Jim, you want to kick us off with your thoughts on this one?
I like the way it opened up, get a little bit more of the relationship between her and her mother, and her mother's condition. Apparently, her cancer is slowing, but is not being cured. And Teresa feels the need to snarkily tell the doctor that her mother is still smoking, still drinking, and not following the routine that has been laid down for her. So that kind of builds a little more tension between them on their way home. And then the fact that Kelly comes in and then kind of like dissipates that tension a little bit and lets a new outlet for Teresa, and a new person, a new friend to develop here. And then she is kind of supporting Teresa by offering to be a subject for her psychic experimentation and see what happens. Will she have the same kind of experience? So I thought that was kind of cool. I'm really liking this story a lot, where it's been going and how the personal relationships, the interpersonal relationships between Teresa and the members of her community are going, so and then I think we'll just wait until everybody else has had a chance before we talk about what actually happened in her experience again.
Yeah, that part was definitely a highlight for me in this issue. But before we get to that, Katie, your thoughts on this issue?
Yeah. Oh, I really liked this, and I loved the character progression that we're seeing. I felt for Teresa in that doctor's appointment. I mean, it's hard enough caring for a sick parent, and fortunately, my dad has been pretty willing to listen to us and to his doctors, but to be like, Mom, you asked me to come take care of you, and you're lying to the doctor, and you're still smoking. definitely I understand why she's frustrated. And I also see why the mom is frustrated too. She's like, I've done this for decades and like I wiped your butt and changed your diapers. Who do you think you are to be coming in and telling me what to do? So and then I'm really glad to see Teresa making a new friend. And I just kind of want to give Kelly a high five because Teresa was not the nicest to her the first couple of times that they met, but Kelly is persistent and I think it's going to be good. And I like that Teresa's willing again to go back into this psychic stuff. And even though part of her is like, oh, this is so dumb, I'm wasting my time, there's a part of her that I think does actually believe and wants to understand what she experienced. And a lot of cool stuff happened in that tarot reading sequence. I really liked this issue. Immediately had to read issue 5, and both of them had so many powerful emotional moments. And yeah, love seeing the character work that's going on.
Excellent. Yep, same thoughts here. Absolutely loving it, especially with the part that Jim was alluding to, which I'll just kind of start the conversation on as Teresa's kind of going through that state that she's been going through, and she's kind of being led through this through these doors and kind of in like a strange area until she comes across. We jump into color here as she comes up to a little tree house, but we're on a little TV set. And basically, in short terms, is basically there was this TV show that was almost like a Mister Rogers' Neighborhood type of deal, and it's this thing that her and her grandpa used to watch together. And the grandpa, a different grandpa, has a connection to that, as we find out that Kelly's grandpa was the one who was the creator, the host, the lead on the show, and there's stuff that happened in that kind of dream walk scenario that brought us back, snapped her out of it, and talking, in present time and going to the studio in person, never having been there, and kind of unlocking some memories and connections with a sibling. And yeah, it was just a real trippy little a trippy little piece that they introduced to now, give Kelly some more weight in the story to come, rather than just being the diner woman that was kind of shrugged off in those first issues. So it's going to be real interesting, kind of learning more about about their connection, and I want to know more about this show too. So, anybody want to comment?
Yeah, I felt so sad for that poor little doggy puppet. And then it was really bittersweet because first you think, oh, he just wants you to help him find his puppet friend. And then Kelly comes in and says, no, that was based off of my brother and I haven't seen him in years. I think something's, going on with him. That was quite the ride. And yeah, I felt so sad for the sad little doggy. And the fact that there's this like creepy Slender Man alien looking thing like following her, that like anytime she like starts to make eye contact with it, she just fizzles out of the reading. That's spooky as all get out. I'm like, is it following her just in the psychic universe? Is it going to come to our universe? Like, what's going on here? But really liked that spooky vibes. And I'm glad she could help Kelly, at least put her on the path that her brother might be needing some assistance. And I hope that they can help him because, yeah, I want him to be okay too.
And any other closing thoughts from anybody?
Yeah. I thought it was interesting that this vision or whatever was something that Teresa and Kelly shared from their childhood.
Oh, yeah.
I wonder if that has anything to do with her developing going forward, because Jean really had nothing to do with Teresa, although the woman Jean was a client of her mother. No, but this one is, they were friends in childhood. They both had this connection to the show from childhood. I wonder if things are going to be drawing closer and closer into Teresa's visions and her real life going forward. I don't know if it's just a coincidence or that's a progression that's already happening.
Yeah, I think the story's doing a good job of keeping us hooked and bringing in new stuff, and it just seems to be getting better and better and better. So, Cool. All right.
The doggy really cute too.
Yeah.
All right. Well, then that will do it for issue number 4. On our next recorded episode, we'll tackle issue number 5 to kind of get caught up with the release schedule of that. But we do have some other club upcoming discussions. We're waiting on the last Batman Full Moon, issue number 4. And then there's another one shot of What If Mickey and Friends Became the Avengers. And I don't want to get ahead of the game, but there's a good chance it will be another What If that we'll be talking about in the preview section to nominate some more club discussions. But yeah, that'll do it for this segment. Let's jump over to the weekly reviews. Welcome to the weekly reviews. I'm going to kick it off with a Kickstarter comic book that I got. I backed the digital version, or known as DACT, of Friday Night Bigfoot. I'll show off this awesome cover here. Friday Night Bigfoot. There he is in classic Sasquatch pose. He's got a wrestling title belt across his shoulder. The title was great. The cover image was great. I knew I was going to back this. Friday Night Bigfoot. Set in 1980s Portland, Friday Night Bigfoot is the story of the Stanton family. They run Portland Power Pro Wrestling, a once thriving family-owned wrestling promotion that has been entertaining the good fans of the Pacific Northwest for many years. However, since the passing of the promotion's founder, the rest of the family has been struggling to keep it afloat. The gates are down, the locker room is unhappy, and competitors, both local and national, are at the gates. Much of the weight of this falls on Andrew, the middle child of the Stanton family. Andrew has taken over the promoting duties since the passing of his father, with his older brother Jack and his younger brother Eddie, who both wrestle for the promotion. With the promotion facing bankruptcy and challenges on all sides, Andrew stumbles across Bigfoot. Can Bigfoot help turn the tide in a bitter wrestling war? And after years of living in the wilderness, can the fabled cryptid handle being thrust into the spotlight? Will the bright lights and fame of wrestling stardom go to his head? And I like the last line of the synopsis that was written by these creators. This one is a lot of fun. And it is true. I had a blast with this. I was definitely excited to DAC this comic, if you will, the digital version on Kickstarter. And this is done by Mike Kingston, Dave Heath, Tony Gregory, and Jacob Baskell. Now, Dave Heath isn't a name that we would normally, recognize. But once I mention who the real person is, myself and Elise Kirby will know, because this was co-created by Gangrel. Gangrel of WWE fame went on to many other promotions and other, continuing to work in the biz. And I did a little I'll say I did mention all the creators. So the quick backstory that I did with very light research is that this company, which is Headlock Comics. Kirby, do you know anything about Headlock Comics? All right. So basically a promotion that has been connecting with actual wrestlers, people in the business that basically have written one-shots that they get artists for, but telling fictional stories. It's not, from what I understand, not about them, or maybe there are some. I don't know if...
Well, Rob Van Dam does his characters, basically him.
Okay.
All based off him and stuff like that. He's got a few through Headlock Comics and stuff, but yeah, it's like a variety of wrestlers doing a lot of fun comics. I've reviewed a few in the past, and there's some more I want to get my hands on.
Yeah, this one, I don't remember how this one got into my feed, maybe just with a lot of Bigfoot, Sasquatch related stuff that I've been reading and talking about. The algorithm pushed this into because I'm not too familiar with the creators or all beyond Gangrel, but yeah, this was a lot of fun. So originally they did a short story of this specific idea, and then now these creators have jumped in and turned it into a full-on issue. And from what I understand, this company likes to do a lot of graphic novels with these, but they are testing the waters by making this a standalone series, and they hope to do more issues. So yeah, anyways, most of this issue number 1, even though it's got Bigfoot on the cover, I'm not going to spoil anything. He's mentioned in the synopsis. He's right there on the cover. There's not a lot of Bigfoot in this issue. It really lays the groundwork of being a multi-issue series, but this first issue deals a lot with building this human family who runs this promotion, talking about their competition. You see a lot of ideas of, whether it's the WCW, WWF days, and now WWE and AEW and just any other organizations that are trying to, compete against the big dog and things like that. And you could definitely see a lot of influence in that, but they really do bring an interesting story into this by having that middle child take over as the promoter while having the oldest child and the youngest child are both wrestlers on there. And they're getting ready to book their big over the top battle royal type of event, and promising that they're getting one big wrestler from the bigger competitor league that has agreed to be a part of this battle royal. That's definitely going to help them with sales, but there's definitely some controversy going on in there. When once again, I'm not talking spoilers on this at all, but going into the investigation on why that might actually be an issue, bringing a wrestler over from another promotion. And that's why the lead of this company is just kind of struggling and just kind of trying to live up to his dad's legacy. We see a lot of moments of his dad's photo up in the rafters of the big banner and stuff like that, and trying to live up to him, saying that he had 20 years to watch him, but even that wasn't enough, just because his dad was just such a pioneer in the business and everything. And um, so they do a lot of groundwork while I was very much noticing. I'm like, all right, when's Bigfoot get into this thing? Let's get it. Starts off with Bigfoot with a little introduction, get a little tease, but then we jump into that backstory stuff. While it has very little Bigfoot, if you will, I think it did an excellent job of making up for it by telling a real riveting story, by building up this family. And I am extremely on board for the next issue, which will definitely bring Bigfoot into the spotlight, as the synopsis says. And I'm excited to just see how that's going to play out. And yeah, I like pro wrestling. I loved it at a time. I dabble and still appreciate it currently. I don't really follow anything too much. I love Sasquatches and Bigfoots and Yetis and all that kind of stuff. So bringing these characters and these ideas together, genres together, perfect blend for a very fun comic. That is Friday Night Bigfoot. Because it was a digital comic, I wasn't holding up too much because it's not as easy to flip through and load up pages. And now I just jumped to a different comic that's on my Dropbox here. So here we go. I could show some of this art because I got it in scrolling fashion. So you do get a little introduction to Bigfoot. That's jungle drama there. Hold on. So yeah, you get a little introduction to him just to kind of tease the story, but then I'll show you just some of the art for our human characters and talking about the arenas that they operate in and the fans, and talking about how especially this pro wrestling group in Portland has the reputation of being like, hey, it's Friday night, the work week is over, everyone in town is looking forward to just going to let loose, have fun, watch wrestling, drink beer, just have a good time, basically. So they feel a lot of weight on their shoulders when running this organization, because a lot of people, just love this promotion and count on them to continue going forward, even though the father had passed away. So that's all I want to say. Totally awesome. It's a Kickstarter comic. Follow that Headlock Comics online for any other information for future Kickstarters, because I want issue number 2. All right.
And you just answered a long time question. Does Bigfoot poop in the woods? No, he poops on a toilet. You just see it.
Yeah, that's right. I got to go back to that one, see if there was some funny dialogue with that. But yeah, it's
I can't believe I didn't hear about that one. Or I might have and forgot. Because I've been trying to stay away from Kickstarter.
Here we go. I will call this out because he's talking about the hardships and everything. At this moment, you're believing that
You say hardships?
hardships. Because the other stuff, he talks about how that's going great. So when we see him in the beginning of the story, we're led to believe that he's already in this wrestling promotion, even though we don't see the action and everything. But he's kind of talking about the diet that he's on, and he's drinking this carrot juice that he doesn't like, and he's just talking about all this stuff. And this is early on in the comic. He talks about how while he has existed for a long time and he's been shot at in the woods and people have speculated and hunted him and everything, he said he felt safer out in the woods than he does in the wrestling ring. So that sets up just a really good idea of like this fun story that they have to tell, which leads to that panel of him saying, well, at least I'm shitting better than I have been in years. So yeah, he's
Yeah.
it was a ton of fun. So Friday Night Bigfoot, I want more.
All right. From the Nacellaverse, I checked out Power Lords #1. I feel like I knew this name from my childhood, from a cartoon back in the day, but I don't recognize any of these characters or anything that's going on. It basically starts out on this Vulcan rock type place they have all kinds of special weaponry you can't find anywhere else, all kinds of special powers and stuff going on there. I do remember this character that I always thought was He-Man because I had the toy. I could have swore back in the day where the top half looks like He-Man and the bottom half's a battle tank. And I feel like I had that, but I just don't recall with it all. But we basically got this, well, Lord Power character that, of course, has to be named Adam, like Adam Warlock and them. They're all troublemakers. Adam Warlock and what's his name? Yeah, he follows in line with all the troublemaking leaders of the groups, like Star-Lord and stuff. They all got that childish mentality, won't listen to anybody, but for some reason, he's got like a power gem in his head. But this black hole appears around him during battle, and he's not around at the moment. The other characters are in the midst of a battle, and that uh, thing shows up, and then all of a sudden Adam shows up, and it kind of like it's like focused towards him and goes towards him and stuff when he's moving around and battling, and eventually one of the bad guys rips the gem out of his head. I don't know why the guy didn't keep the gem, but he tosses the gem towards the black hole, and Adam jumps towards it and ends up getting sucked into the black hole. And then we jump to like a year later, where he's got a whole different crew of people that he's working with, characters, and they're basically trying to find this thing that the Power Lord is pulling him towards because he knows that's where the gemstone is. So he's trying to get the gemstone so he can come back and help his friends back where they were battling before he got sucked into the black hole and pulled away from him, because it was right during the battle, so he doesn't know if they're alive or what happened with that whole scene. And so they go through a bunch of stuff, get some special maps, and have to deal with people that they're getting chased from and stuff. Time certain cops from this world, and they eventually follow the map and find this comet that's kind of like broken into a bunch of pieces and stuff. And he basically get to the comic. They jump around the fractures of the comic. Again, a bunch of characters not wearing any space helmets in space. I don't know. I'm always curious about that. But yeah, they're jumping around through here, and all of a sudden another enemy of theirs appears, and he's after the Lord Power character. Keep wanting to say Power Lord because that's what they're called as Power Lords, but he's Lord Power and just confuses my brain. Trying to speak it, I guess. But throughout all of it, he ends up seeing the gem and stuff, and that's the main purpose. He went towards the comet, and the other characters are there just to get whatever types of minerals or whatever they can from it. They're thinking that they're going to get tons of riches, and this is their big score and all that stuff. I really enjoyed all three of these characters. I enjoyed all the characters that they dealt with and stuff. I liked their banter, their back and forth stuff going through here. I only picked up number 1 because of the blank cover. But now I'm gonna definitely want to go back and check more of them out. It takes you basically, you're just getting the teaser of them trying to find the gemstone while you're seeing the other characters dealing with what they're dealing with after losing the power, well, Lord Power. But yeah, so you're getting a couple different things back and forth, and it's just it's a good introduction to it. I still don't recall the characters or anything from anything I watched in my childhood. I could have swore I had that toy because it always confused me. Why is he only half He-Man and half Tank? But
And what publisher is that from?
that's the through. Well, I guess it's just the Nacellaverse.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and then Dennis Culver and Matt Hodson are the writers. V. Ken Marion is the artist, colorist Andrew Dalhouse, and Ghost Glyph Studios and Taylor Esposito doing the lettering. But other than that, it's Oni Press is also on here. So yeah, Oni Press and Nacellaverse.
Yeah, I'm not too familiar with any of this, and I've been searching around to see if I can find that tank, but I don't see anything toy-wise.
Yeah, the Nacellaverse is the ones that's doing Sectors and all those
okay.
different ones, the humanoids.
Oh, here we go. Well, it's I don't know if it's part of Power Lords, some Warbot, but there's at least something. Not a He-Man looking guy, but maybe there's some related things too. But
yeah, there's a good chance there's a second character. But you look at that guy.
Oh yeah, here we go.
Definitely looks like He-Man.
Okay, the world of Atom Power and the Power Lords. Here we go. Let's try to. I got the photo sitting up here.
And he's got the cross-chest piece and everything, just like him. So
yeah, I found an image of the toys, and there he is. So
yeah,
and not familiar with any of those, but cool.
Oh, right. Everyone I've checked on from the Nacellaverse has been a lot of fun. So.
All right, well, now it's time to go back a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away and check in with Jedi Ambassador Katie. Hello, Katie.
Oh, hello. Thank you for welcoming me back to the program. This week, we have a comic that came out about a year ago. I decided I was going to commit and go into the stack. I have Thrawn Alliances. Specifically, I want to talk about issue number 4. So a little recap, Thrawn Alliances is a 2018 book written by Timothy Zahn. It stars Grand Admiral Thrawn and Darth Vader. I read the novel. I really liked the novel, so I was super pumped to see them adapt this book. Now, they've also adapted the first novel in that series called Thrawn. So let's do the creative team, because I have a lot of great things to say about this comic, and then one really big bad thing where Marvel, I don't know if a year is too long, but I would like to request a refund, please. The creative team is Timothy Zahn and Jody Hauser doing the writing, Pat Oliphey and Andrea DeVito as the artist, Rochelle Rosenberg as the colorist, and VC's Travis Lanham is the letterer. So basically the premise of this book is the Emperor senses a disturbance in the Force that is unlike any he's experienced before, and sends his 2 top agents, Thrawn and Darth Vader, to go to the fringes of wild space and check it out. It's partially a loyalty test for Thrawn and Vader. And then as we find out, Thrawn has actually been there several decades prior when he was still with the Chiss Ascendancy. So they're investigating this mystery and finding out that there is potentially a group of aliens who are kind of poking at the edges of the Empire and basically testing for weaknesses to see if they can invade. And um, it's and basically so Thrawn and Vader go and investigate this disturbance. They find out that smugglers have been working for some bad guys and are supplying them with humanoids. And they find a bunch of humanoids in suspended hibernation chambers, and they conclude that that's probably the source of the disturbance in the Force. And then we do get some flashbacks as well throughout the comic to the time when Thrawn was there previously and what he did. Don't want to spoil that because it is a pretty big spoiler. But, well, having read the novel, I got to issue 4 and I'm like, okay, we're about 2/3 of the way through this book. Are they really going to wrap this up in 30 pages? And I'm flipping through and I'm flipping through and we're getting to the moment where Thrawn's like, yes, I know what's going on. I'm going to tell you. And I flip the page and it says, the end? Question mark. And I'm like, excuse me. You cut off the best part of the story. So I thought, okay, did I just maybe get like some rare misprint issue or something? So I go online. Other people are saying, no, they cut off the story. um, and so I'm like, okay, sometimes things with production happen, but this was billed as a 1 through 4 from the beginning. And even the trade paperback is still 1 through 4. Marvel at no point told me that they were giving me 2/3 of this story. And it's only because I've read the novel that I know that. If not, I would be feeling really ripped off. I don't blame the creative team. I do think this is a problem on the production and the editorial side. And obviously I'm not going to ask for a refund on a $5 book, but I felt like they sold it as a complete series. We're getting this novel adapted, and they did not do that. I don't feel great about that. And I try to be positive because, I don't like the Star Wars fans that are like, well, everything sucks. The 4 issues that we got were awesome. I was so pumped. I loved a lot of what they did. Let me talk about some of the good things. I thought it did a solid job of balancing telling kind of the main plot lines of the novel, because going from a 250-page book to some comics, there's a lot of stuff that has to get cut, and not every adaptation gets that right. This one did. I really enjoyed the art and particularly the color work. I thought it was clear. The characters look like the characters, even between some of the back and forth in time. The characters look like younger and older versions of themselves, so that's super satisfying. We have some great Vader kicking bad guy butt moments. Love it. Always a fun time. And yeah, we did lose, some of the side characters, which again, that happens, but I felt like it was done judiciously. It wasn't like, oh, well, it wasn't done flippantly. There was a purpose and they were trying to tell a complete throughput story. The adaptation of the first Thrawn book in this series, in addition to having my favorite canon comic image in all of Star Wars to this date, Thrawn in sunglasses, which just makes me just laugh so deeply. Everything had like a really orange tint to it. Everybody looked orange. All the planets looked orange. It was, clearly a design choice and one that I didn't like. So I was glad to see that the colors were true to what you would imagine the scale to be in this. Yeah, and I'm always grateful when they involve Timothy Zahn in adapting his novels. I generally find that Jodie Houser does a good job. She's very solid at doing these. I'm just disappointed that I didn't get the rest of the story, and that it seems like from the get-go that there was no plan to give us the whole story, which makes me ask the question, why did you do this at all? I don't have answers to that, and I wish I did. But I guess if you're willing to accept getting 2/3 of the story, you can check out the trade paperback of Thrawn Alliances. To be honest, I would say you should read it on like Marvel Unlimited or Kindle Unlimited so that you minimize how much you're spending on it. And I want to recognize that like being a fan of the EU novels and seeing that character brought forward into the current canon and adapted is pretty niche, but this feels like they had something really good going and just completely messed it up. But yeah, read at your own risk. But Thrawn Alliances 1 through 4 is available now, and they still did a lot of things right. And if they gave us issues 5 and 6, you know what, I would give them a chance and check it out. But that's my review, and this time we're gonna punch it to wild space.
All right. Well, thank you there. Communications are clear. We heard you all the way through. Turbines to speed. Oh, that's a Batman reference. I don't know any other references, so we're just going to move on to the next one. This one here. Hopefully, I'm going to have a big enough monitor to show the large size of this single issue comic book that I'm talking about. This is Faster Than Light 3D Treasure Edition. Tomorrow we discover the key to faster than light travel, and our world will never be the same. Captain William Forrest and those under his storied command are in a race against time, and he's one of the few on board who knows it. The world's first 3D Treasury size edition features 2 brand new horrifying stories from the Faster Than Light crew. Glorious 10 by 13 pages in full color 3D. This is done by Brian Haberlin, David Hein. I want to double check in case that was an autocorrect here. Jeriad Van Dyke. And we also have Francis Takanaga, T.R. Breyer, and 3D effects, this one I can get, Hannah Wall, and my friend Matt Hansel. So I didn't know that Matt Hansel had anything to do with this when I bought it. I talked about this on the previews episode sometime last year. It's been sitting on the pile. And the one thing that sold me on it, because I didn't know what any of this Faster Than Light was. There was a couple volumes, trade paperbacks out there of the comic books. I knew nothing about it, but I saw this Treasury edition that was being presented in full 3D. So if you are watching Crimson Cowl Comic Club over on YouTube, it is time to put on your 3D glasses because we are getting into it, and my eyes are probably going to get crazy with the monitor coming back. So I'm just going to take these off, and you know what? I should put the avatar on of the 3D glasses on my face. So instead, I'm just going to use these Zoom 3D glasses instead here. So here we go, talking about Faster Than Light, the 3D Treasure Edition. This was a blast. Sci-fi stories, all original characters from, not, from what I understand, not based on any movies or television shows or anything like that. And it is 2 separate stories in here that are just concentrating on these individual missions. Yep, still looks pretty decent, outside of the 3D treatment. I'll talk about all that stuff towards the end of the story review. But yeah, this crew basically gets this signal from this alien entity that shows up in their, on their monitors through this 3D form that shows up inside their ship to alert them. They send out somebody. They find out that this creature, which they thought was much smaller based on the image that came through, but here's a full-size image of one of our crew members going outside and going up against it. And we learn about this creature basically who escaped a big war, a war where their entire race was eliminated, and this person, this creature, this alien, was left basically on the run and trying to figure out how to keep the history of their people alive. And I won't dive into the story because that's why you pick up this comic book here. But it was a really intriguing story of a long conversation between the astronaut and the alien, kind of talking about, what's Earth like, what's the other planet like, and how they're going to go about trying to get this person to safety, figuring out if they are a threat or not. That's a little tease for the first story. Let me just flip over to the second one. This is a rather big, I don't know how many pages we're talking here, if we're in that 30 to 40 page range maybe. So I'm going to flip over to the second story, which deals with kind of another encounter of kind of landing on a planet and kind of hearing, a disturbance outside the ship and going to explore. And you're kind of in. What's really interesting about this is that our main character that goes out kind of realizes, like, oh, it's kind of like a lot of snow that's basically on this planet, only to find out that it's not actually snow. It's a bunch of ash, basically from the world's blowing up, and so big that this ash is basically going to be flowing around for hundreds and hundreds of years. But this person, being away from Earth, basically feels that it does feel like snow to her. And there is even a little, I'll show off this double splash page, because she takes advantage of doing a little snowboarding out in space. So there's a cool scene of being chased by something, and then that was definitely some good a good image there. Yeah, this was a lot of fun with these characters I know nothing about. I had never read the other graphic novels, single issues, whatever. I just went in because this was a gimmick of a Treasury edition size 3D comic book. So I'm like, yep, I'll give it a shot. And then finding out, opening up, and seeing that one of the people that helped work on the actual 3D effects was Matt Hansel. Matt Hansel is a friend of mine. Recently had him on Cartoonist by Night, actually 2 episodes now. The second one should be out by the time you see this episode of Crimson. And yeah, this was a lot of fun. I don't get much out of 3D in the movies. I've seen a handful of 3D movies. There's 2 moments of 2 different movies that stand aside. Um, Captain America: The First Avenger back in 2011. There's like one moment when Captain America is just fighting everybody, and he's throws his shield and it bounces off something, bounces off here, and then it comes at the camera. And when it did that in the theater, it was one of those where like I just like shot back and it felt like I had fell asleep and just like woke up immediately. That was the shock of just like, what the heck just happened? Oh yeah, the shield just came flying at my face here. So that was just like one moment in a 3D movie. And then the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Out of the Shadows, I think it is, the second Michael Bay produced live action Ninja Turtles. I think it's in the second one. Big snow scene and just a huge downhill snow scene for like 5 minutes and in 3D. That was the best thing I've ever seen in 3D. So, other than that, for movies, I don't really get into 3D movies just because it doesn't do much for me. Comics, however, I find a lot of value in 3D comics, especially when you control the rate of the page in front of you, the image in front of you, so it's not moving and things like that. Really lets you explore. And what they do really well in these 3D pages is having the space environment. You just get so much depth and just like all like the debris and anything that's kind of floating around in the atmosphere really stands out. Double splash page there. There's so many great moments like that where going back to that snowboarding one too, it's just like everything really pops really well with the space books, or with the space atmospheres.
Yeah, I was going to mention one of the pictures you showed earlier too. It just had that depth without even having the glasses on it. And when you move the pages around a little bit, you get that feel of the depth also. So
Yeah, it
you got to be awesome with glasses on.
and then what was really great for especially for this Treasury edition here, they have a cover gallery. So they went through, and I assume these are all covers from the original comics. Um, just kind of showing off some cool stuff here, but each of these was a delight just to see very specific standalone cover images and experience that in 3D, whether it's the explosions and the monsters and everything about it. Just this one was pretty cool. An astronaut playing a guitar out in space. So just everything was so cool. It's definitely going to get a lot of extra rereading value just for the sake of looking at it. And yeah, I was blown away by it. I was intrigued enough by these original characters. Um, and yeah, it's labeled as a horror science fiction. Um, and this is coming from let's see, Image Comics and Shadowline. But yeah, I think I may look into that first volume and see a little more and read into these characters more. But at least this here was a great standalone, awesome 3D comic book. So if you're a sci-fi fan, sci-fi horror fan, and a 3D fan, 100% check out Faster Than Light, the 3D Treasure Edition. All right, and now I can, that's the end of the weekly review, so I'm going to take off my digital 3D glasses in between the breaks. We'll see you over in the news.
And now, the news.
All right, we are going to do the previews catalog, the previews preview, if you will. This is in the March catalogs for products coming out in May 2025 and beyond. It already sounds like beyond when I say 2025, though. It already sounds very futuristic. So we're even thinking past 2025, May 2025. Okay, here we go. Jumping into Marvel first. Definitely excited for this one, regardless of the title, because you know what? It's all fictional stories. Everyone's going to be okay. The characters will probably all return within the next month or two. But we're talking about the death of the Silver Surfer. The Silver Surfer returns to defend a war-ravaged Earth, but Norrin has a galaxy-sized target on his back. A new enemy will stop at nothing to steal away everything the Surfer is or ever will be. A single human life may be all that decides the Surfer's salvation or damnation. If the Surfer falls, who then wields the awesome power cosmic? And what of the Surfer's old master Galactus, devourer of worlds? This is guest starring the Fantastic Four. You got Greg Pak as the writer, so that's definitely a strong right off the bat. You got Sumit Kumar over on the art, and it's a miniseries. It's Silver Surfer. I'm buying it. Can't wait to check it out. Death of the Silver Surfer #1.
Yeah, Predator, Black, White, and Blood, #1 of 4. This is from the mad imaginings of Joe Kelly and rising artist Alvaro Lopez. Comes a gut-twisting new take on Predator. A young predator trying to prove himself prowls the Australian frontier, but his hunt goes south. A run-in with some humans from a convict colony will change the trajectory of everyone's lives and take readers on a journey never before seen in the Predator universe. Together with stories from superstar creators Elliot Rahal and Sarah Gailey, this anthology is a must-read for all Predator and comics fans.
Excellent. I had to take myself off of mute there. Katie, anything from Marvel?
Yeah. So there are a few new Jeff the Landshark comics. There's Jeff the Landshark 1, and it's Jeff Week, #1. I've enjoyed the ones that we've read. They're super cute. I'm glad that everyone is finding out about the magnificence that is Jeff. Only question I have is, are these going to be new stories or just kind of reprinting and compiling some of the ones we've already read?
So I was doing some background research looking into this because we were talking about this before the episode, and one of my windows just disappeared. But the Jeff Week, that one continues the in Marvel Infinity stories that are on the Marvel app.
Great.
So that one is new material in print. If you've been reading it on the Marvel app, it's not new to you, but it is new to us as a club at least. So that Jeff Week is new. And I've got to get back to my cart here. Everything, I clicked the wrong window, and then all of a sudden everything I had prepped just fell off the screen. The other one, Jeff the Landshark #1. This one here, because I have the synopsis. Hot off his star-making appearance in the Marvel Rivals, everyone's favorite walking fish boy has bitten off his first starring miniseries. So they are going to be all new stuff. Both of the Jeff things in there are brand new. The first Jeff Week being the digital stuff in print for the first time, but this will be an actual ongoing miniseries rather than the one shot. So, yep, it's all new material for its Jeff for print.
Thank you.
Cool. Jim, anything from Marvel?
I haven't seen anything yet, but I'm still looking.
All right. And while you're still looking, I'm looking for my next one, and I have a show and tell for the next one because They are
Mm.
offering the Marvel Masterworks, The Man-Thing Volume 2 is coming out in at least May or beyond. I had picked up Volume 1, so I want to show off Volume 1 here in the Masterwork edition. You know, full color comics and everything, collecting all the original Man-Thing stories from Marvel. Nothing oversized or anything. It's still a fairly, almost basically the same size as a comic. It's got the hardcover treatment, so it's a tad bigger just for that sake. But yeah, so Marvel Masterworks, giant size man thing. Definitely going to get some more of that, which sparked me to put this at the top of the list so I can finish reading all this. I've read all these digitally. I have some physically, but I read almost everything Man Thing digitally leading into the Werewolf by Night MCU thing from a couple years ago. But I'm excited for these new additions here. So Man Things, there you go. Man Thing fans, there you go. Kirby?
The last one for me, which I assume will probably be a club pick. But what if Donald Duck became Iron Man? Inspired by the very first appearance of Iron Man in Tales of Suspense number 39, Donald Duck finds himself in the clutches of the Beagle Boys, forced to build a machine designed to crack into his Uncle Scrooge's money bin. Donald has other plans and builds the ultimate suit of armor. Can the fearless foe foil the plans of the Beagle Boys and make it to his date with Daisy Duck? Yeah, it's basically playing off the original story of Iron Man, and yeah, I'm sure we'll be doing that.
Yep, I think it's safe to say that will be a club discussion. Everyone else on board for that to get more?
Yes.
Cool, cool. So, yeah, I will send that over to our club group so everybody knows about that. But, Katie, anything else from Marvel?
The What If Donald Duck Became Iron Man was also my last pick, so no more for Marvel.
Excellent. And I was going to take a picture of the cover, but there isn't one on my preview window as a reminder here, so I'll just have to remember that. The last thing I'm going to mention about Marvel is there's a facsimile edition for Fantastic Four number 48 from 1966, first ever Galactus and Silver Surfer appearance of the Stan Lee and Jack Kirby comics. Because we are getting both Silver Surfer and Galactus this coming summer in the MCU, it's definitely a time for them to reprint yet again the first appearance of those characters. So if you want a much cheaper version, trust me, I know because I bought the original first printing version. If you want a much cheaper version, then buy the facsimile Fantastic Four issue number 48. I know they've done this in the past, but I'll probably add another copy because can't have enough of those lying around. So that's my last for Marvel as well. Kirby, you want to kick off DC if you got anything? I was going to tell you about your audio, but I already muted myself. So now you need to unmute, and then I'll go mute myself.
I gotta quit doing that. Also, I started doing that again. But I'm not a big buyer of Superman stuff. But I seen this cover, and I got to get the crypto cover there. So I'm getting Superman Unlimited number 1. The summer of Superman heats up with a brand new ongoing series taking the DCU by storm. When an asteroid the size of Metropolis hurtles towards collision with planet Earth, the Justice League dispatches Superman to avert the crisis. But a sinister threat lurks within that will change the world like never before. And this danger glows green. Maybe Mr. Sinister? No, he's not green. He's black and red, isn't he?
And he's at Marvel.
Yeah, that's the last son of Krypton must risk everything to save his adopted home, the very home which now tries to kill him from complete destruction. The Man of Steel is poised to fly like never before in this new Cornerstone series, brought to life by the dazzling DC debut of writer Dan Slott and renowned artist Raphael Albuquerque. Yeah, there's a lot of fun covers, but I gotta have that crypto cover.
Yeah, That is a pick of mine as well. Dan Slott is the start of his official run. He does have a credit in that Superman Super Special or whatever it is we talked about in the last previous episode. But this is the beginning of the run. I'm getting the main cover as well as the James Gunn cameo cardstock cover because it has James Gunn and the new actor for Superman in his version of the DCU. David Cornsweet, I believe is his name. So both of them are on a variant cover as well. So I'm just getting that for being a big James Gunn fan and the anticipation of that movie in July. Both Superman and Fantastic Four movies in July. We are too spoiled when it comes to the cinemas this coming summer for superhero stuff, at least. But yep, that's on my list as well. And I'm going to try to behave by getting issue number 1 and then trade waiting for the first arc. I just at least want to get that first little primer piece. So it's a new tactic for me that I need to grow into, not only just for budget and storage space, but we're going to see if that holds true or not. So unless they do a James Gunn cover for every issue, then they got my money. Or they do Sean Gunn. I was trying to think of his brother's name. Put Sean Gunn on all the other covers too. So, all right. So, Katie, anything from DC?
I don't have anything new from DC, but I am open to a club pick.
All right, Jim. How about DC Comics? Do you like DC Comics?
I do like DC Comics. I'm not seeing anything brand new coming out this month, though,
Okay.
other than Man Unlimited, but I'm not inclined
Yeah,
for
I didn't
that.
see DC with a lot of number ones at all in this catalog. They're mostly ongoing.
Yeah.
Well, that's it for everybody. Looks like I have 2 other DC ones here. I will start with this one here. This is a trade paperback collection. I don't think I'm familiar with the series, but Supergirl Cosmic Adventures in the 8th grade. This has a very adorable cover. And let's see here as I queued up. If you think life is tough as a hero, try being in the 8th grade. Super strength, the ability to fly, and extra speedy reflexes should make a kid's life easier. But they only seem to complicate things for Supergirl. Life gets even more messy when a new enemy named Belinda Z shows up. Suddenly facing down supervillains doesn't seem so bad. Arch frenemies, scheming faculty, and intergalactic orange kitty, and a flying horse are just a few things that come Linda's way. Will Supergirl even make it to graduation? Landry Q. Walker and Eric Jones explore how an ordinary girl from Krypton became the most extraordinary girl on Earth in a new edition collecting the 6-issue miniseries. The art doesn't look familiar to me, so I don't think I own this in single issues. But this is looks like a fun thing. And then in Supergirl, to stick with Supergirl news, this is going to be another one of those buy the first issue and hopefully buy the trade. Supergirl, I think it's just called Supergirl. A brand new series. The Maiden of Might returns in a new series written and illustrated by Sophie Campbell. Kara Zor-El has been a key member of the super family in Metropolis, but what happens when she strikes out on her own? Follow Kara as she returns to her roots in Midville, home of Supergirl. But how could this be? Our hero has not been back in years, and the protector of that town has been saving the day for weeks. Can Supergirl stop the imposter before they steal her fresh start and life? Celebrated writer Sophie Campbell from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles makes her mark on the DC Universe with this thrilling debut issue, plus a new costume design by best-selling cover artist Stanley Artgerm Lau. So yeah, pretty cool cover of Joshua Middleton cover that I'm looking at. But anyways, some new Supergirlness over at DC. So those are in my list there. We're going to jump over to all of the independents. Kick it off with Kirby first. Anything from the independents?
Let's see here. This is we got some new Godzilla coming out. Godzilla, Here There Be Aliens. That kind of caught my eye. Godzilla, Here There Be Aliens is both a fully standalone limited series and an epic conclusion to Godzilla Here There Be Dragons trilogy. It's the middle of the 20th century, and Americas everywhere are terrified by the strange lights hovering above them in the night sky. And they should be. These UFOs are actually the Exilian invasion force, revealed to have already been on Earth during the events of Here There Be Dragons, Sons of Giants. The Zillions have been attempting to destabilize the planet with the help of kaiju from outer space. The aliens' claws deep inside the U.S. government will our rogue operatives manage to band together to save humanity. I wish I had Jim from Sandman Comics here. He knows everything Godzilla, and I know he's talked about the Zillions before, but yeah, I don't know enough to get deep in on them. But you give me aliens and Godzilla, why not?
There we go. Katie.
All right, pretty short list this week. I only have one. It's a manga called Ascendance of a Bookworm, subtitled I'll Do Anything to Become a Librarian. They're advertising volume 3 in the previews, so I might have to get volume 1, but it's written by Maya Kazuki. The art is by Suzuka Kuof, and it says Ferdinand's Harpspiel concert is just around the corner. Rosamine can barely keep track of everything she needs to get done before then, like readying programs and songs and working on a last-minute expansion. Meanwhile, a slight misunderstanding between the two Smiths leads to a competition. Who can make the best waxing machine? And could this be another grand step towards a duchy-wide printing industry? Pretty cool title, and I would be open to checking it out based off of that. But yeah, I think that's my only pick from the indies right now.
All right, we'll go through the rounds. If you happen to see something, feel free to, let us know in case we need to throw you back into the rotation.
You bet.
Jim, anything from the independents?
No, I did not find anything in all that.
Well, maybe I can sell you on this because you've been liking Minor Arcana and Jeff Lemire. I've talked about my love for Jeff Lemire and his art. Well, would you know it that there is a memoir hardcover art collection, 10,000 Ink Stains, a memoir. Jeff Lemire, this is from Dark Horse Books, proudly presents this hardcover memoir collection showcasing the work of legendary Eisner Award-winning comic book creator Jeff Lemire, who has created some of the most iconic stories in modern comics, featuring his brilliant work from Sweet Tooth, Essex County, Black Hammer, Descender, and so much more. And I'm going to add so much more. Lemire takes the reader book by book, writing essays about the making of each project, showcasing artwork from all of them, details about his personal life during the creation of each book, sharing some never-before-seen process material on each book, and unpublished stories as well. This is the ultimate book for Jeff Lemire and modern comic book fans because they said that last sentence. I can't even say that last sentence. Because they said it, I don't have to say it. But because they said it, that this is for the ultimate book for Jeff Lemire and modern comic book fans, I would feel like a fraud if I didn't buy this one after talking about how much I love his work. So yeah, I am buying 10,000 Ink Stains, a memoir. Kirby?
Another one from IDW. We got the Sin Bin. Picture there. Dale Duquesne is a washed-up hockey player by day and a ghost monster and demon hunter by night. After each away game, Dukes finds the local legend that goes bump in the night and takes it down, locking it away in the sin bin. When his daughter, Kat, discovers the truth about his demon hunting, it becomes her dream to follow in his footsteps. As they work their first case together, Kat will learn Duke's biggest secret. Though he doesn't hunt monsters out of the kindness of his heart, he's searching for someone that was taken by monsters years ago. Someone very important to Kat who will change the shape of their family and their future forever. Together, they hit the road to save mankind and put their family back together. I mean, if hockey's involved, it usually catches my eye. So.
Excellent. Over at Archie Comics, we got Betty and Veronica Friends Forever, Spy Girls. This is part of their one-shot series. now packed with 30 pages of story content, including a brand new story introducing Medusa Doom, who is Mad Dr. Doom's teenage daughter. Medusa Doom has come from far away to bully the residents of Riverdale, and only Agents B and V have what it takes to stop her. So not only is Marvel jumping on, with the amping up of the Doctor Doom craze, but Archie's going to go back on their Mad Doctor Doom character that they had. I'm fairly certain that character showed up in like the Little Archie books, if I'm not mistaken. I know I've read some Mad Doctor Doom, but yeah. So they are bringing a new character of Mad Doctor Doom's teenage daughter, Medusa Doom, as well. So that should be a lot of fun. So check out Betty and Veronica, Friends Forever, Spy Girls. Kirby?
We got The Curse of Shirley Johnson. This is from Image. What happened to Shirley Johnson, the 7-year-old victim of the infamous serial killer Billy Kincaid? The Curse of Shirley Johnson, an epic new chapter in the Spawn universe, explores the fate of the innocent young girl. Her harrowing adventures with the stranger are laid bare as her story and the world she now inhabits is revealed. With a story conceived in the twisted mind of Danielle Henriques and interior art by celebrated artist Jonathan Clapion. And it's so small, it's hard to see. I love that they got these covers with her. She's all done up in the Violator clown makeup, just hanging out with her toys and stuff. But yeah, I gotta check that out and find out what that's all about.
Cool. This one here is resolicited in the catalog, and I have the hardcover in front of me, so I can show it off here. But Little Archie's Lucky Day picture book. This is done by our friends Art and Franco. Archie Comics is proud to present our first picture book for little readers. Once again, this came out years ago, so they're just putting it out there again. This title follows the footsteps of great children's books like Corduroy and Where the Wild Things Are, as being a modern classic for little ones to enjoy. Get ready for a big day. Little Archie's morning is off to an unlucky start until he makes a mysterious new pal, a small red cat. But this is no regular feline. Find out what this little furry friend has in store for our tiny red-headed hero. Art and Franco bringing their style and humor to the Archie Comics universe. If you are following us, Crimson Cowl Comic Club on YouTube, you are getting. Oh, look at that! Art drew a little Archie face there. I'll have to leave this aside and have Franco sign this too. I will see him at C2E2 soon. Here's the inside of little Archie sleeping and that little red cat that's hanging out outside the tree. This is a real fun, short little picture book, and I'm excited that they're showcasing it again. And hey, Archie, just make more of them. Hire Art and Franco to do even more of these. Archie's Lucky Day. Check it out. Little Archie's Lucky Day. Kirby?
I got The Cold Witch. It's also from Image Comics. It's The Cold Witch, A Tale of the Shrouded College, #1 of 5. The next take in the Shrouded College universe from Charles Soule and Will Sliney is here. The Cold Witch is an icy tale of revenge and dark sorcery set in frozen Siberia. John Wick with zombies. The tale of a wronged woman who goes to truly desperate lengths to avenge her murdered love. Cold Witch expands the supernatural mission impossible. Readers found it in Hell to Pay and The Bloody Dozen, while standing completely on its own, a blood-chilled adventure, perfect for horror and action fans. I didn't know it was parts of coming off something else, but the whole concept with the zombies, the John Wick and all that, figure what the heck. Check it out, but I'm going to wait for the trade since there's 5 issues. But
Cool. My next one here is going to be my first purchase of the Scream magazine because issue number 43 happens to have a Creature Features cover, and it's got Creature from the Black Lagoon as well as Doug Jones from the Shape of Water movie. So taking two favorite creatures of mine and putting them on the same cover into this magazine here. So, yeah, this is just going to dive into the creature features that we've admired throughout the years. And it's a really long synopsis, but it's a magazine for creature feature fans. So, Scream issue number 43 is on my list. Kirby?
Yeah, sadly, Shelly just went upstairs, but I just got in the mail just a couple days ago the 40 years of Scream that I just picked up for her. So, yeah, it's a fun magazine. All right. Image Comics again. We got Free Planet #1. The first completely free planet in human history has won its independence. Now a group of revolutionary heroes must defend the planet's unique energy source from a pair of hostile intergalactic powers while determining what complete freedom actually entails. Aubrey Sitterson and Jed Doherty blend the intricate future history of East of West with the emotional space opera stylings of Saga in a story about freedom and the sacrifices it demands. Yeah, I like the concept of it, and I figure I'm going to at least check out issue 1. They also got a sketch cover, that's why.
Cool. I'm proud to talk about the pre-order status for Slaughter Otter issue number 3 from our friends Matt Fife and Matt Rogers. From the out of the shadows, the true leader of Leech emerges, bringing a cold and calculated brand of both anger and vengeance. Both Slaughter and the Leech Queen will beg for death to escape the clutches of, spoiler, don't miss this issue. Slaughter Otter can also be seen in the free comic book day special Keen Spot Toy Box in May. Here's issue number 2. This, I told the boys that I think this is the best work they've done. This is the most entertaining issue that they've put out across Happy Astronaut and Slaughter Otter. The action sequences in here were just phenomenal, and just this series gets better and better. So I'm excited for issue number 3. Bunch of different covers to choose from. Check out Slaughter Otter issue number 3. Kirby?
G.I. Joe.
Catalyst. What's that, Jim?
I said I like the G.I. Joe cover.
Yeah.
That's the one that I ordered.
So Matt Rogers is a big G.I. Joe fan, and he's been instilling a lot of that into the putting it into this book. And I sent him the solicitation for I think it's G.I. Joe number 7, whatever's in the catalog, because they're doing a blank sketch cover variant. So I sent that along to him. He goes, I should buy a bunch of those and just draw Slaughter Otter on it. Like, that was the exact thought I had, and that's why I gave him that info. All right, Kirby.
All right, 250 years in the future, extinction threatens mankind. Tampering with dangerous technology from the Black Marker, an ancient alien artifact discovered on Earth 80 years earlier. EarthGov hopes to save humanity, but the Marker's influence reanimates corpses into grotesque, rampaging nightmares steeped in desperation, deceit, and hubris. The history of Markers reveals our ominous future. I love the video game, and this is a prequel to it, so yeah, gotta check it out.
Excellent. I only have one more, and it's actually one that I got lost in the within the Supergirl S's section, but this is for Marvel. Spider-Girl issue number 1. Here comes the sensational Spider-Girl. Spinning out of the pages of Spider-Boy comes the sensational Spider-Girl. After Bullseye's betrayal, Spider-Girl is trying her hand at being a hero, but when a clash with Vermin reveals that a major spider nemesis is tracking her, Spider-Girl will have to figure out what this villain wants and which of their allies will try to kill her next. I've been behind on Amazing Spider-Man. I've been behind on the Spider-Boy. But with the number 1 of Spider-Girl, I'll at least get that one to get on, get a little taste of that and spark the interest to get caught up on all those books. So that's the last thing I have. So Kirby, anything you have left, feel free to spout it out.
All right, we got Myths and Monsters 2025 Spring Edition. Don't miss this monstrously oversized, action-packed issue collecting untold tales from across the Xenoscope universe. With 3 never-before-released stories, featuring Mangoat and the Bunny Man, Pooh, and the Mysterious Origin of Fury. So yeah, having all three of those stories that I've been really enjoying thrown into one book. New stories from is awesome. And then we gotta I guess which one. Oh, this is for the Toxic Avenger pinup special one shot. Get to see him in the bathroom there. We got shocking, candid, violent, dopey, explosive pinups by a murder of artist Fred Harper, Matt Bors, Ben Clarkson, and Morissette, plus nearly a dozen surprise names, accompany a new short, canonical, unmissable story by Bors and Harper, the team behind Ahoy's hit Toxie revival. It's like we all died and went to Tromaville. I'm back and forth with the new Toxie run, but I am starting to like it a lot more the more I read, so it's been pulling me in. And then we got that's all ongoing. This I can't afford. I really would love to pick up because I've been picking up a lot of Disney's comics and stories, his covers and stuff. But Carl Barks does awesome artwork, and they have a new Carl Barks art book out there, but it's $220 for that. But it's Carl Barks Comics and Stories Original Art Edition, MGM Volume 3, and then you can get Volume 1 and 2 for $100 and $220. Also in the catalog right now, but I just love his work. And then we got two more. Dracula's Brunch Club. I asked the wife last night if she wants it, so I figured I'd pick it up for her. Count Dracula is not your average vampire. Well, sure, he's undead, hates garlic, and will burn up in sunlight. But unlike other vampires, he has a knack for baking. And it's his brunch club's famous blood orange jelly donuts that give his fellow vampires the energy source they need to live forever. But when Transylvania experiences a mysterious jelly shortage, it allows his nemesis, Constantine, to swoop in and steal the brunch club and the vampire's loyalty from Dracula. But it's not just jelly donuts at stake. When townsfolk start going missing, Dracula suspects Constantine has far more sinister motives lurking that could threaten everything vampires and humans have worked for. With the help of his chef and human friend, Alina, Dracula must find a new energy source before every vampire and human turns on him and he loses his coveted brunch club forever. It's got a forward from Kevin Jones of the Jonas Brothers in it. Yeah. It's like, I asked her and she's like, yep, I'd read that.
Well, I definitely missed that in the catalog, so I'm glad that you brought it up because I've just added it to my cart. So.
And this one, I loved the free comic book day teaser they had for it. But it's Snow Monkey #1 by Jason Shaw and Hubert Michael and Aaron Barding, as seen on Free Comic Book Day when teenager Jennifer Gatlin dons the ancient helmet of Wukong. She gains the experiences and abilities of every warrior who has ever worn it. As Snow Monkey, she fights against her father, the crime lord known as the Sensei, who is training his students to become an army of deadly warriors. It was a really good Free Comic Book Day one, so yeah, I'd like to check that out. And that is it for me.
All right, and we could barely scratch the surface covering the preview, so I highly recommend to reach out to your local comic book shop, check out the previews catalogs, your preferred online retailer, wherever you can find it, because it's very important to pre-order your comics to not only let the shop and the people know that you want those books, but that information goes back to the publisher, goes back to the writers and the artists and the editors and everybody that you want their comics. So check out previews because we can only mention so much. That's going to do it for this show. Quickly go through the plugs. CrimsonCowl.com for info and original webcomics. If you want to listen to the audio version, Crimson Cowl Comic Club over on iTunes. Make sure you hit subscribe, rate, and review to help the show. Crimson Cowl Comic Club on YouTube for the full video experience. Those episodes stay online, opposed to the YouTube or the iTunes library, which gets recycled every 10 episodes. So watching them on YouTube, you get the full experience. Didn't have any animals jump on screen this time, but sometimes that happens. Let's see here. Crimson Cowl. I knew that he'd be looking around for an animal right there.
Well, he's been flying in and out of a cardboard box, which I'm surprised you haven't heard. He slams himself into it and then he runs out.
Under the Cowl of MS, you've got a spin-off podcast. Want to let people know what's been going on over there?
I've been doing lots of single comic book reviews and then some unboxings and stuff like that in the normal Thursday Under the Cowl of MS podcast. I've been trying to keep going, but yeah, I'm working on getting back to some other things, but time has been short, so we've been kind of focusing more on the shorter, quicker videos. So check those out.
So, yep, follow Under the Cowl of MS wherever you get your podcasts, over on YouTube and social medias. I have a couple of my self-published comic books that I write and draw and letter and color and edit and all that fun stuff. Rice Christopher, there's 2 individual specials here. They both work hand in hand. They're a lot of fun. Check it out, All Ages Adventures. Reach out to me, latchkeykid@gmail.com. All the information is in the credits as well. And follow my art accounts, Anthony Laatsch, over on Facebook and Instagram. And on the YouTube show version, I think Jim was showing there's a Rice Christopher print back there. There's also a nice, beautiful print of David Gloyd and David Gloyd II's comic, which is the Tales from the North, The Dungeon. I've been hearing about some stuff that they're planning to cook up, so just stay tuned for more of that. And then I host Cartoonist by Night alongside my friends. We have a lot of episodes up there, and we welcome Lavi back to the show. Had a fun episode with Lavi, and then also Matt Hansel returned for another episode. And during this recording, we booked another guest. I got the alert that this person is on board, so we're excited to bring in somebody brand new to the show, and as well as to me. So follow Cartoonist by Night, a drawing show on YouTube. It's a lot of fun. That's going to do it for this episode. If you like the show, please tell a friend. If you don't like the show, please tell a friend. So do the same thing no matter what. This is a lot of fun to do, and want to just get more eyes and ears checking out the show. And reach out to us if you dig it. All right, that's going to do it for this episode. This whole time, I've been in the puppet afterlife.
I've been wrestling a rodent for a Power Stone.
I've been waiting to speak to the manager of Marvel.
That's a cute puppy.
To be continued.
Slimer.
All right, now I gotta figure out how to take these off here. Nope. I think I just gotta go back into it. Video filter. Nope, that's not it. Nope, that's not it. Nope. Ooh, a little festive there. Could have used that. Ooh. Showing off some ink there. Whoop, that's definitely not it. I'm doing that on purpose. I knew what I was clicking, so. Okay, there we go. I just didn't. Oh, no, the lights are still on. That wasn't on purpose.